Hi guys, this is Alex Belteki and I'm going to be walking you through one of my own tutorials for PSD Tuts. Today we're going to look at how to enhance a photo with a pen tablet. So obviously you're going to need a pen tablet first because we're going to use that throughout the tutorial. I've divided this into two parts because this is a pretty lengthy process and it depends on how much detail you want. So I'm not going to be going through the same amount of detail as in the written version, so be sure to check out the written version before you watch a screencast. What I want to do here is just basically show you how to do it, and you can pretty much start from there and do a better job with it. The actual process should take you about a couple of hours if you take your time. So I'm going to try to keep this pretty short and in two parts. In the first part, we're going to fade the subject into the background, and the second one, we're going to add the highlights and the shadows. So let's start with the first one. This is our final image, and let's take a look at the previous. So basically right here is what we want to start with, and right here is where we want to end. Now I'm not going to do this identically because that would be pretty difficult, because obviously we're going to work with a pen tablet at all times. So let's start with the document setup. Your image size should be 1575 over 1055 pixels, 300 pixels per inch resolution at and RGB color. So start a new document and paste the tiger image that you should have the link to in the tutorial in the written version. You can see I've rotated it a bit just to try and get it a better position. So place your photo, rotate it, and add a layer mask right here by clicking on this button. So now that we have a layer mask, you can see that you have this icon active. This means that whatever you paint now while having this active with black will disappear. Whatever remains white will still be visible. Make sure you don't accidentally paint in this side, because that means you're painting directly on the photo. You can always notice where you are, because this area you will only be able to paint with black and white and grayscale colors. So no colors here, because this is the layer mask. So get the brush tool, press B. These are my settings. So about around 150 pixels for now, 0% hardness. We're going to be playing around with the opacity all the time. What you want to start with is as 100%, because we're going to fade out all the sides really quick. So actually let's make this a little bit bigger and just start to fade out really quick all the sides of the photo. I'm going to try not to go over the actual subject too much. Now we're obviously going to have to bring all this back, so you want to cover as much as you can without forgetting where everything is really. Okay, so that's approximately what we're going to try to go for. Now change your opacity to about 20%. Let's zoom in and just start to fade out all these regions. Now if you go over the whiskers and the actual fur, don't worry about it. We're going to bring that all back, but you just want to be careful that you can still see them. That way when you have to bring them back, they're still there. They're easy to follow. So you can see it's just a matter of repeated brushwork, really. And we're doing this with low opacity so that you have more control over the entire process. One thing that you need to know is that I'm not only going back and forth over the same area, but I'm also lifting the pen off the tablet, which makes the process faster. So it's pretty much a new click every time. So right now we have a really quick fade, and now we can start to slow it down. Let's drag the opacity to about 7-8% and go over these areas. You can see these are the tips of the fur. That's what you still want to see most, and then just try to fade out everything that's furthest from that. So right here we're going over this area first. Now, as I've said before, you want to be more careful about this and take your time. I'm just going to show you guys how to do it here, and follow the written version for more detail. I'm going to go under the chin too to make the chin more visible. Right about here it should start to fade out to black. So we're going to take that in. Just a little bit over the face too. You can see that by following the actual stripes, it's a little bit easier to fade out. I'm going to actually get the opacity up to about 12% for this area. Just have a little bit more intensity and get it a little bit faster. Let's have a look at outside and go over these areas a little bit more. Okay, now reverse your colors, so press X, and that'll bring up white as your foreground color, because we're kind of trying to bring out some of that fur back. Now I'm going to stay with 12% opacity, just to make the brush size smaller. And just slowly bring that back, in case you've lost any detail here where you still want it. Like the chin, for instance. Reverse back to black and fix that area over there. I think I've gone a little bit too far. That's better. And over here, keeping with black, I'm going to try to fade that out a little bit more. So really it's just a switch between black and white as you work out all these areas. See over there, you still can see some of the background. We're going to try to take that out. Okay, zoom in on the whiskers. Make it really small and just try to work in these tight areas wherever you still see the background. Bit bigger because I can still see some areas in there that need to be fixed, like right here. Now what you want to make sure is that this is pure black, especially when we're going to add a few gradient maps near the end. You may need to make some adjustments later on because we're going to make turn this black into a dark gray, which will reveal more areas that need to be fixed. We can't really predict those now, but we're going to do our best so far with doing that. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the big brush. Now, change the master diameter to 2 pixels, and I have to play around with the opacity until we get something right. I'm around 55%. See all these areas for the whiskers? I'm sorry, it should be with white. So change to white, and then just try to bring some of these back. Makes them look like there are a few whiskers over there. Remember that these are supposed to be coming right into the light. Same thing for this area. Now this area certainly takes a long time. I'm not going to worry about getting it just right. You also might want to crank about to about, I think, 5 for these larger ones. Now typically you're going to have to be very careful with these. I'm not going to worry about them too much. Let's do some really thick ones, and then we'll fade them back out, because you can see just a little bit too sudden where they all end. So back to black. Pretty large size. Opacity down to about 10%. Just fade out the tips. I'm going to change the opacity low to about 5%. Just get these to be really long. Basically, you just want to do this and follow those lines. So yeah, that's a really quick one, not a very good one, but it's how you do it. Kind of all over the place now, but I've gone a little bit too far over there. Okay. Now change it to 2%. I'm going to keep it on a very low opacity, and then just try to make sure that all this fur fades out nicely and naturally. You don't want an even fade to black, because it's not an even surface. So some of these hairs will still remain pretty visible. So with white, you're basically bringing them back out. In some areas you're going to have to raise the opacity, but in the really dark ones, you want to keep it around 5%. Now you're going to have to do this all over the image, so that all the fur fades out naturally. Actually, it's still a little bit too bright here. I'm going to take it down to 2% only for these really, really dark areas where it's almost black. because this is fur, you don't have to worry about, in these areas of following all those fibers exactly. But you want to make it look natural. Let's go over these areas now. I'm going to raise it to about 7% opacity. So say at 100%, that looks a lot more natural than this area right here. See, as soon as you start adding some of these thin strokes, they look like fur. Just be sure to follow the actual orientation of the existing fur. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, because you see I've faded out the nose a little bit too much here. I change to black and make that edge sharp. So basically, this is a really quick way of doing what I've explained in the written version. Make sure you look over that for a better result. But that's basically how you do this part. It's all about working back and forth with black and white strokes. Thin strokes to bring back the hair, and then just large, very soft fades over the entire area. So with a little bit of work, this can look a lot better. So meet me in part 2 where we actually handle all the highlights and the shadows over the mouth area, the nose, and a little bit of the fur. See you later.